Flags in the back. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the special October 6th Fishers City Council meeting. I don't know if this is working or if I need to yell. Can you guys hear me? You can't? Okay. Just for online. I coach a lot, so I'm loud. There we go. All right, so welcome to the October 6th, 2022 Fishers City Council meeting. Moving on to item number 2, 091922J, an ordinance of the City of Fishers, Hamilton County, Indiana, adopting the City of Fishers food and beverage tax. Elliot, will you be presenting?
Good afternoon, Council President Zimmerman and Council. Before we open up the public hearing, I thought it'd be appropriate to set the stage for what food and beverage is, what's transpired since we've opened up the discussions on the food and beverage tax. Then I'll close with a refresher on why we're bringing the food and beverage tax before City Council on October 10th for a vote. If you can go ahead and get the next slide, please, Chris. There's no new information since we've started this discussion, but again, a refresher here. So food and beverage applies to transactions which food or beverages are furnished, prepared, or served by a retail merchant for consumption at a location or on equipment provided by a retail merchant for payment. Legislature passed by Governor Holcomb this past session authorizes Fishers City Council to enact a food and beverage tax by or before December 31st of 2023. The short answer of what it is that we have been collecting that here in Fishers as a Hamilton County 1% tax for the past 17 years. So what's been collected for the past 17 years, we'll have a food and beverage tax for Fishers for 1% going forward. And that would start on December 1st of 2022 if you are to pass it on October 10th. Again, this is a 1% tax, so I won't get everyone hungry again, but for an $8 coffee and bagel, that's an additional 8 cents for that purchase. Next slide, please, Chris. Again, if you take a look on the right here of the slide, in the Indy metro area, every city outside of Fishers and Anderson already has this 1% food and beverage tax in place. So we'd simply be bringing Fishers in parity with our surrounding communities to include Carmel, Noblesville, and Westfield. And the revenue collected from this will go directly to paying debt on the event center that I'll talk about here as we close. Interesting stat we talked about at the September 19th City Council meeting. I'll reiterate it here again today. We had a study done, and 50% of the visitors, the people that consume food and beverages in our district area, are outside of Fishers. So this is not a tax on Fishers residents. This is a tax on people consuming food or beverages in Fishers. I think that's important to note. Next slide, please. So I'll spend a little bit of time talking about, again, what's transpired since we introduced this. So 3 buckets here. Public meetings. We introduced this on September 15th at the Finance Committee. September 19th was the first reading of food and beverage. We've held 2 Q&A webinars, one for neighborhoods and one for the restaurant community. The restaurant community had 0 questions. We've had the October 5th regular scheduled Finance Committee meeting. We had a Plan Commission meeting last night as well. We are currently holding the obligated special City Council meeting where this is the only agenda item. We'll bring it again for you all on October 10th for a vote. Community outreach, some of the steps we've taken, we have a website dedicated to the food and beverage tax. We've got 2 different FAQ packets, again, one specific to food and beverage, one for the neighborhood community. We've got the Department of Revenue Food and Beverage Business Guide. We've also posted minutes from all the meetings and videos from the meetings you see on that left-hand column of the public meetings section. And lastly, this has been well documented from our friends in TV, radio, print, and digital. So we see Fox 59, NBC, CBS, ABC, CW, My Indy TV, 2 radio stations, and 3 out-of-market stations. Additionally, the Current Fishers has covered it twice. IBJ's covered it twice, Indy Star 3 times. Arita Digest, which is an industry-specific magazine, and the Hamilton County Reporter has also covered this. Next slide, please. So why are we asking to enact the food and beverage tax? What are we going to use it for? The revenue use will go directly and completely to paying debt on a world-class mid-sized event center here in the city of Fishers. So it's a $170 million facility, and the Department of Revenue provided us some updated numbers that in fiscal year 22, they anticipated the city of Fishers would have collected $3.2 million of food and beverage we'd applied directly to this event center. There are some great exterior images of what that building will look like for us. One more slide. This last one again, revenue generated from the tax allows Fishers to invest in more entertainment, more culinary options, and becomes a destination for folks in Fishers and outside of Fishers. We'll provide some top-tier concerts and musical acts, a variety of additional sports and entertainment events, and of course, we'll be the new home to the ECHL's Indy Fuel minor league ice hockey team. And finally, and probably what I'm most excited about, is it being an event center that's truly for our community. So our HSE and Fishers High School graduates will graduate in their hometown. We'll be able to all come and celebrate and pack an 8,500-seat arena to watch a Mudsock basketball game. And several other core memory events will take place right here in the city of Fishers. So again, that was brief, but that's an explanation of what food and beverage tax is, steps we've taken the past couple weeks, and why we intend to bring this forward for a world-class event center. So I'll turn it back over to you, Council President Zerman.
Just for clarification, so tonight is a public hearing and a public hearing only. So we will, as a council, we will take notes on any feedback we get from the residents, and then Monday at our council meeting is when we'll have deliberations and a vote. So just so everybody understands, we won't be answering questions tonight. It'll be strictly getting your feedback, processing that as individuals on the council, and then each council member will be able to respond how he or she wishes to on Monday. Hopefully that makes sense. So with that, I'm going to open this up for public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this item and this item only, step forward, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Good afternoon, Council. Michael Colby. I live at 7105 Coldyke Drive here in Fishers. Some of us remember, John, we had this come before the council when we were a council, and we tabled it. There were many reasons why we tabled it, but it's back. So here we are. First question I have, you're not going to answer, but is this considered a first reading, second reading, or is this the third reading? Because I saw the agenda for Monday night and it listed as second reading. So I want to know whether or not this is first, second, or third. That's just kind of a housekeeping. I've got the ordinance. I see no provision for a sunset on this. I'd like for the council to consider inserting a sunset if the money being used is going to be used to pay for a new event center. Great. We'll have our name on the map with the Indy Fuel. I hope the name changes. But anyway, once that bond is met, can we sunset it? The other thing is just a little clarity. My good friend, Mr. Lannon, had done an article, and he'd indicated that the Mayor Fadden has indicated the money was going to fund the finance center, or event center rather, and that's, I know, and I just heard Mr. Holcomb say that. But also in the article, Mayor Fadden indicated it was going to fund this project plus a new community center. That was not presented just a minute ago when Mr. Holcomb got up. So what about the community center? I've heard the concept talked about back in the work session way back in May and so forth and so on. So I kind of have an idea, but I haven't seen anything on it. So in fact, going to be used for that. And then I have a question on the ordinance itself. Under use of tax revenue, it says money for the food beverage received will be used by the city to reduce city property tax for a particular year on the discretion of the city, but does not reduce the maximum permissible ad valorem property tax levy. Can someone explain that to me? What does that mean? I'm not a budget guy. I don't know what that means. So I just need some clarification. It sounds like a hedge to me, but anyway, that's all I have. Thank you for your time, and I hope you give this some very serious consideration, and maybe you can use it for some private roads.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
The one named
Colby Drive.
Colby Drive, and it's going to be a dead end, I'm sure.
All right. Anyone else wishing to speak, step forward, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Sounds good. Jack Russell, President and CEO of One Zone Chamber of Commerce. We serve
the Fishers community. I was at your last meeting in the community portion of it, and I want to continue our support of the food and beverage tax. Since we last spoke as well, I do want to thank a couple folks. I want to thank Jocelyn for meeting with our small business group as well, Fishers Group. And then I also want to thank the city for putting on the webinar. As many of you know, restaurants, it's really difficult to get out and attend something. So being able to have access to a webinar, I think that's huge. So I want to thank Chris, Elliot, and Megan for being on that call. I think that was important. To Elliot's point, there were no questions, and I think that's something that to also look at as well. But really, for us at One Zone, we just wanted to continue to tell you our support for this and how excited I truly believe our businesses and Fishers are about this project. So thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Appreciate it. Anyone else wishing to speak, step forward, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Hello, my name is Brenda Myers, and I live at 11971 Holla Place in Fishers, but I am representing Hamilton County Tourism as well. Those of you who know me know I love my data. I'm not going to disappoint, because if you can indulge me a minute, I'd love to give you some information about your community that I think helps support this initiative. Congratulations on being not only successfully attracting residents, but also on your success in attracting visitors. You've not only become an ideal location for business investment, you are now one of Hamilton County's most popular destinations for visitors from throughout Indiana and the Midwest. In total, 42.3% of all Hamilton County's more than 4 million visitors at some point connect with your community and touch your community. In fact, while Hamilton County has grown its retail sales economy significantly in the past decade, our data shows that we've also become a major attraction in the Midwest for shopping, whether it's for a long day trip or an overnight experience, and you helped make that happen. Your most recently announced projects will not only add to the appeal of a destination, it will help us surpass a $1 billion in annual visitor spending mark in Hamilton County. That is a significant amount of money. And in fact, visitors to Fishers right now spend on average $155 per visit. But our research also shows that you are an important destination for your residents, which means you've achieved that sort of delicate balance of making Fishers a great place to live, as well as a great place to visit. In proposed district expansion, your visitor-to-resident ratio is well within the responsible parameters each year. Residents outnumber visitors, which is critical to achieving the goal. But as you was noted earlier, it's a one-to-one balance, which I think is really healthy. Your peer communities of Indianapolis, Carmel, Noblesville, and Westfield, and Hamilton County as a whole, each use their adopted food and beverage taxes in different ways. And in fact, I had the privilege of serving you representing you on the Capital Improvement Board of Managers for Marion County for 12 years. Your proposed use of this tax is appropriate, and in fact, I would argue, based on these numbers, return on investment with this project, just as the innkeeper's tax returns on investment through destination development and marketing. It will not only support your vision for the community as an asset and its amenity structure, it will also drive more economic impact in a positive way, creating even more surplus money. Visitors alone to Hamilton County spend more than $330 million a year just directly on food and beverage purchases, and it accounts for 34% of all visitor spending to our area. We really applaud your ongoing vision and will support you through our national marketing and promotional efforts that not only include advertising to visitors, but also to raise awareness with residents. Supporting food and beverage tax is important. There's an opportunity here to create a transformational project that will ultimately reduce the tax burden on residents through outside visitor economic growth. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak, step forward and say name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Hi there, thank you. My name is Charles Dreitzler. I live at 9815 Covington Boulevard. I'm not a part of any group or anything. I'm just a citizen. My wife and I have lived in Fishers since 2009. Just want to start off by saying that I'm not at all against development. Fishers has done a lot of really great things. I like that most of those have been pretty organic. I oppose this tax very strongly. Just jotted down some notes. I'm a W-2 employee. I don't own a business. I just jotted down a couple that came to my mind today at lunch. Federal income tax, Social Security tax, Medicare tax, Indiana state income tax, Hamilton County income tax, my property taxes, the Hamilton Southeastern Schools referendum tax, the Indiana gas tax. We're already paying a Lucas Oil Stadium tax. I've been to 2 Colts games since Lucas Oil was built. I pay Indiana sales tax on everything I buy. I pay tax on my vehicles. In addition to that, every good or service that I purchase in my everyday life has some sort of factor from whoever I'm purchasing it for their labor tax burden. I work for a construction company right now. We're about 46% for our labor burden. That's kind of high. We're trying to get it down a little bit more so we can be competitive, but it's a factor. Everything I buy, every time I buy a new tire or a gallon of milk, I'm paying for their taxes as well. I feel like I'm taxed enough. I don't think that I would enjoy paying for this event center every day for the rest of the time I live in Fishers anyway. As I mentioned, I got no problem with the development. I think you guys should look into finding a corporate sponsor that might like to put their name on the building, something creative like that, so that the taxpayers aren't asked to just keep paying for more and more and more. I want to bring something to your attention that I'm sure you already know. My paycheck does not go nearly as far as it did a year or 2 years ago. So to be asked to pay more tax when I'm already having to make some pretty difficult decisions this last year, we've had to change some of our long-term goals to adjust just the increase in our utility bills, things we have no control over. I have control over how much food and beverage I want to consume. I don't have any control over my gas bill, my electric bill, all these different things. Something that I'd like you to consider, if this project was in Evansville or Fort Wayne, I think that might make sense. There's not another big metro area very close to those cities. We have a world-class convention and event center right in Indianapolis. So I'd be curious to know if you guys have really thought through that, asking for us to pay for something when there's such a good convention center downtown already. It's going to be tough to compete. I guess that's about all I got. I'll get out of here. And I just want to mention one more thing. I am in commercial construction, like I mentioned. I'd be curious to know, and I hope you guys will address this, the inflation rate in the construction industry has been astronomical. We are by far experiencing more inflation in building trades than any other industry. I'm sure you guys are well aware of that with the State Road 37 project difficulties at 141st Street. I know you're not answering questions, but I sure hope you're thinking about that. I sure hope that you factored that in. I would go back and look at your budget projections. If they're any more than 3 months old, you would really be smart to reconsider that. And I hope that you guys decide to not tax us more than we're already taxed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak, step forward, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. With no one stepping forward, I'll close the public hearing, and I'll make a motion. Anybody have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion second. We are adjourned. Thank you very much. Thanks for everyone coming out. Have a good evening.